Welcome back, horror movie lovers. Today, I will continue telling the story of the American horror film series, Sinister. The story begins with an extremely bizarre video. A family of 4 is bound by ropes in a suspended posture, with their toes touching the ground. The other end of the rope is connected to a precarious, thick tree branch. As the tree branch collapses with a crash, the family of 4 immediately hangs in midair. They begin to struggle continuously, their legs swinging forcefully. Soon, the 4 people stop moving their legs and suffocate to death. The scene shifts to 6 months later. A man named Ellison is moving, relocating his belongings. After putting away his luggage, he puts on his glasses and tours the house's backyard. Looking at the familiar broken branch, Ellison cannot help but feel excited. He is a writer who specializes in tragedy novels. For inspiration, he often moves into houses near where tragedies have occurred. Before, it was fine. He only lived a few houses away from the murder house. But this time, Ellison is on the verge of bankruptcy, and his works have not been a big hit for quite some time. His most recent popular work is called The Kentucky Murder Case. But that was 10 years ago. So this time, Ellison moves directly into the house where the deaths occurred. He intends to write thoroughly about this case, adapt it into a novel, and hopes it will sell extremely well. Ellison's 2 children and Tracy have long been accustomed to this nomadic lifestyle. Tracy also strongly supports his career and does not say much. She just asks Ellison this time not to move near the crime scene again. Ellison stutters and swears to Tracy that he promises they are not near the murder house this time. Evening quickly arrives. Ellison moves the last piece of clutter into the attic and prepares to leave. Then, a black box in front of him sparks Ellison's curiosity. He assumes it is a relic left behind by the previous homeowner. Ellison walks over to see what is inside. However, after only a few steps, a scorpion appears in front of him. It is very fierce and stings Ellison with its tail. After crushing the scorpion, Ellison successfully opens the black box. He discovers a projector and 5 videotapes inside. Judging by the labels on the tapes, they appear to be recordings of family outings and picnics. So, he hastily eats a few bites at the dinner table. Ellison then eagerly rushes to his studio. He begins to organize some important details of the case. Just as he is about to pin up the attic photo, Ellison notices something is wrong. This is because the police took and posted the photo online. At that time, the black box was not present in the attic. To figure out the origin of the box, Ellison sets up the projector and hangs a white sheet. He immediately plays one of the videotapes from the recent past. Initially, everything in the footage appears normal. The father plays ball with his son. The mother picks flowers with her 2 daughters, and they are very harmonious. But after a short while, the scene suddenly switches to 4 people hanging. The tree branch breaks, asphyxiating them alive. He estimates that even the police have not seen this footage yet. Only Ellison and the viewers on screen have witnessed it. After watching, Ellison quickly takes a sip of whiskey. He feels a shiver of fear and dread. After finishing, he writes 2 important questions in his notebook. He wonders who recorded this footage. The second question is also what the police are investigating. He wonders where the youngest daughter, Stephen, is. This is because there are 5 people in the family, but only 4 are found hanged. Carrying these doubts, Ellison goes to the big tree in the backyard and stands for a while. Suddenly, a chilling wind blows, making Ellison shiver, and he returns inside. However, just as he closes the door, a dark shadow suddenly passes from behind. Ellison opens the room in the direction the shadow darted. He finds that his daughter, Ashley, has come to the laundry room. She says she took a wrong turn and cannot find the restroom. Then, after Ellison takes his daughter to the restroom, he quickly goes back to his small room and starts playing the second to last videotape. The beginning of the footage is also very normal, showing a family of 4 fishing and barbecuing by the lake. But when the camera focuses on the father, the scene switches again. It looks like their car is tied up with chains. Low sounds echo around the car, as if calling for help. And when the camera shows the car's interior, the family members are tightly bound, unable to move or speak. A strange pattern is also drawn on the hood. Immediately after, a torch descends from above and ignites the entire car. Ellison is also horrified by this scene. He never expects that the tape contains such inhumane content of torture and murder. He then picks up the phone and is about to tell the police about the videotape. But after much thought, Ellison still puts down his phone. Because if he tells the police, these tapes might be confiscated entirely. Wouldn't that ruin his livelihood? So Ellison takes out the third tape and starts playing it. It shows a family swimming and playing. Soon, as night falls, this family of several people are tightly bound to sun loungers. The tops of all the chairs are connected by a hemp rope. With a casual pull, these people on the chairs one after another fall into the pool and drown alive. And in this footage, Ellison also seems to find an important clue. As the camera shakes, a black figure appears in the center of the pool, staring intently at the camera. Ellison immediately presses the pause button and examines it carefully. He discovers this thing's two eyes and entire face are shaped like an inverted triangle. He does not know what kind of creature it is. Just as he is engrossed in watching, a flash of white light suddenly appears, and the screen disappears. It turns out that the film in the projector mysteriously ignites. Ellison quickly runs to put out the fire and turns off the machine. But the section of film with the triangle monster is still burned. It is as if someone did it on purpose. And this type of 8mm film is produced in 1966. Ellison quickly searches online and finds a general method to restore the film. After some simple operations, the section filmed on the monster's face is still completely unclear. For a moment, Ellison is also frantic with worry, because this is very likely a major clue to these tragedies. So immediately after, he plays the fourth videotape. He wants to see if he can find that triangle monster in it again. The scene is very dim, it should be filmed late at night. A person, shining a light, breaks into a bedroom, and on the bed in the bedroom lies a bound couple and a small dog. The dog is very protective of its owners, it barks continuously, trying to drive away the person opposite it. But the knife is placed on the necks of the male and female owners, incapacitating them. The assailant then breaks into the younger son's room and slits his throat. After watching so many bloody scenes all night, Ellison cannot take it anymore and quickly turns off the projector. He then starts re-watching some of the previous details frame by frame on the computer. He discovers a strange symbol also appears at the bedroom door of this family, identical to the previous car arson case. As he continues to watch, he finds a line of text appears on the screen. Because the original video is too dark, Ellison adds some exposure. He discovers the text says St. Louis. Combining this with the corresponding year of the videotape, Ellison searches for a keyword in the browse, 1998 St. Louis tragedy. As a result, thousands of related reports about this case actually appear online. Ellison casually clicks on a website, which is a live report from a reporter at the scene. E-content roughly states that the Miller couple and their younger son are stabbed to death in their home. However, Trevor mysteriously disappears. Therefore, the police determine this is likely a disgusting murder case triggered by child abductio. At this moment, Ellison suddenly hears footsteps coming from the attic above. They are rapid thumping sounds, but they quickly disappear. Ellison does not think much of it and continues to browse reports about this case. As the lights suddenly go out, rustling footsteps are heard again from outside the house. Judging by the sound, there are at least two people. Ellison also follows the corridor to the two children's room, but they are already asleep in bed. So he wonders who is running around the house in the middle of the night. Just as he is about to leave, a loud noise comes from the attic above Ellison. It sounds like a gunshot or the sound of a heavy object falling. To investigate, Ellison grabs a knife from the kitchen. He opens the attic ladder and slowly climbs up. As he stealthily climbs up, a sound rings out again. It is the sound of a wooden board falling to the ground. Ellison turns around and continues walking deeper into the attic. He sees the lid of a black cardboard box moving on the floor. Ellison pretends to be calm and pries it open with an iron rod. Inside is a red and white spicy strip. After the spicy strip crawls away, Ellison picks up the lid in front of him. He discovers that someone has drawn many pictures on the white part inside with a marker. The content depicts the cruel murder scenes from the videotapes. However, a person stands next to each victim's family. The name Bughul is also written in English. This person is likely connected to the tragedy. Ellison takes the box and quickly goes downstairs, heading to his studio to thoroughly investigate, combining it with previous clues. After only a few steps, the floor suddenly cracks open, and Ellison falls through a large hole. He immediately falls from the upper floor to the first floor and passes out. It is early the next morning. The police and medical personnel arrive at Ellison's house. After bandaging his wounds, the deputy pulls him aside to analyze the situation. The deputy says the ladder to the attic was not lowered at the time. The footsteps are likely caused by 2 or 3 squirrels sneaking in. After finishing his serious analysis, the deputy says he keeps Ellison's book, Kentucky Murders, in his patrol car and reads it every day. It turns out this young deputy is a loyal fan of Ellison. He comes here to curry favor and ask for an autograph. Ellison is also quite fond of his fans. He says he has a copy of the book in his office and will sign it and give it to the deputy. The deputy does not take Ellison's things for free. He says Ellison can call on him anytime he encounters a tricky situation. As he says this, Ellison quickly remembers. He tells deputy to go back and check the addresses of the 2 tragedies. A stabbing case in St. Louis 1998 and a case in 1979 where a family was engulfed in a garage. Deputy asks for the specific city. Ellison says he does not know about this fire case, only the method and the year. Sending deputy away, Ellison begins analyzing the paintings from the attic last night on his compet. He believes the Bughul standing in the paintings is likely the triangular monster that appeared in previous footage. So, he meticulously searches the scenes of different cases. As a result, Ellison actually finds some minor details. At the scene where a family of 4 was recently hanged, Ellison discovers a very strange thing standing behind them. When he magnifies the thing, Ellison is shocked. Although it is a bit blurry, it is not difficult to determine that this is the triangular monster that appeared in the pool earlier. Following the clues, he quickly searches through the arson case again. Soon he sees a detail he previously missed. Next to the car also stands a monstrous thing. Subsequently, Ellison prints these 2 photos separately and posts them on the blackboard. Now, if he can find the origin of the thing, he might be able to unravel the mysteries of all the case. His brain is working rapidly. His daughter Lily knocks on the door at this moment and hands Ellison a cup of coffee. This is a foreshadowing. After taking the coffee, Ellison also simultaneously receives a call from deputy. He says the 1979 arson case is in Sacramento, California. Their car was set on fire, and a family of 3 died in the garage. The key point is a 9-year-old son also disappeared. This is exactly like the St. Louis case. The police never find the missing children. After deputy provides the home addresses of these 2 cases, Ellison is surprised to discover that the Stephen family, who were suspended to death, had actually lived in the home of the victims from the 1998 St. Louis case before moving here. This is a major clue, and Ellison quickly marks it. While he thinks, the thing on the screen turns its neck towards him, then turns it back. Immediately after, the computer chimes, receiving a video. Ellison opens it, and it is surprisingly a video of him falling from the attic last night. At first everything seems normal, but at the end, several small hands appear on his shoulders. It is as if these hands push him down from upstairs. The more Ellison watches, the more unnerved he feels. He does not care who filmed it and quickly closes the computer. Time moves to the middle of the night, and Ellison sleeps soundly, holding Tracy, when suddenly he hears sound and wakes from his dream. Following the sound, he makes his way to his studio. He discovers the projector has been turned on at some point, and it plays content showing a family of 4 suspended to death. Ellison finds it strange. He turns off the projector, then closes the video, but the computer automatically displays the eerie screenshot. Ellison glances out the window, and the more he looks, the more familiar it seems. Takes down the printed photo from the blackboard and goes to the window to compare them careful. This immediately wakes Ellison up completely. But he rubs his eyes and looks, only to find the haystack opposite is empty. But for the truth of the matter, he still grabs a stick and goes outside to check. As he gets closer to the haystack, The breathing sounds Ellison hears become more and more rapid. It turns out his Trevor is hiding inside the haystack. Because he has suffered from night terrors since childhood, Ellison knows what is happening. He runs around like a sleepwalker. However, his son's condition is probably more serious than sleepwalking. He carries his son back to the room. Ellison returns to the backyard to get his flashlight and a stick. But as he picks up the flashlight, a low growl comes from beside his ear. Looking in the direction of the sound, he sees a large black dog with a middle part. This dog belongs to a nearby neighbor. It is usually docile and not so fierce. Ellison also feels quite puzzled, but he can only bend down cautiously to pick up the baseball bat not far away. At this moment, the camera shifts to Ellison's back. It turns out the dog is not growling at him at all. Instead, it growls at the 5 people behind Ellison's back. Time moves to the next day. Deputy brings some detailed information and hands it to Ellison at his home. After Deputy's persistent persuasion, Ellison reveals the fact that he is involved in 5 tragedies. The earliest one dates back to 1966. He believes these 5 cases are serial murders. And they might be some kind of terrifying ritual. Because when the killer murders a family, he takes away one of the children. And his intentions are unknown. At this moment, Deputy points to the triangular monster on the blackboard and the pattern next to. He says these things do not seem to belong to the natural world. Because he usually enjoys reading thrilling novels. He also somewhat believes in ghosts, monsters, and various supernatural beings. Says he knows a Jonas from a certain university who is an expert in researching supernatural crime. Even the state police have consulted him about strange cases. After he gives Jonas's contact information to Ellison, the time also comes to evening. Ellison takes out the 5th and final film reel and begins to play it. The video shows a family chatting in the living room after dinner. But soon, the camera cuts to a lawnmower being pushed forward. Ellison watches intently and quickly becomes engrossed. The method of murder in this video is killing people with a lawnmower. It runs over people's heads. The sight makes Ellison's heart pound, and he jumps out of his chair. He lights a cigarette. Ellison finally receives a video call from Jonas. Jonas tells Ellison not to be so polite. He says he has been a fan of Ellison's novels for over 10 years. He also states that as soon as he saw the photos Ellison sent, he knew Ellison was investigating those cases. Ellison is curious and asks how he knew. Jonas explains that he knows the origin of these symbols. They are related to a pagan cult. Their origins can be traced back to ancient Babylonian times. During that time, a demon was rumored to exist. One that specifically eats children. Named Bagu. He asks Ellison if there is a key factor in the cases he is investigating. All of them involve missing children. Jonas states that Bagel likes to eat children and feeds on their souls. He lures children away from the real world. He takes them to hell to devour their souls. Jonas says that he only knows this much for now. He will tell Ellison more specific details after he researches further. Afterward, Ellison puts the videotape back in the safe and falls asleep peacefully. But this time, he hears a noise again and rushes out of his bedroom. He discovers that the videotape has been taken out and is playing again. He wonders if a thief has broken in and is living in his house. He picks up the stick again and searches around the house. Just then, a little girl jumps out from the side. But Ellison seemingly does not see her. He continues searching in every corner of the house. As he appears in different places, different children dart out from behind him and disappear, as if they are collectively playing hide and seek with Ellison. Following the children's chase, Ellison arrives at his daughter Ashley's room. He finds her already asleep and does not go in to disturb her. But after Ellison leaves, the camera slowly pans to the bedside. That night, Ellison stays awake all night, holding a stick and guarding the living room. A ray of sunlight rises from the east the next day. Trass's loud scream also wakes him from his sleep. It turns out his daughter Ashley likes to draw. They just moved in. The father and daughter agreed she is not allowed to draw anywhere outside H room. So Ellison gets very angry when he sees Ashley drawing in the hallway. But after seeing the content of his daughter's drawing, Ellison's heart sinks. Shlee says she wants to draw for someone, but that person does not allow her to draw in her own room, saying it used to be her brother's room. Her mother listens, feeling a bit strange, and asks who she is. Ashley replies that it is Stephen, and also says Jenny used to live in this house and is a character in her father's current book. Tracy instantly understands something and her expression changes drastically. She cannot imagine Ellison playing such a big game this time, moving their entire family into a murder scene. Then she unleashes a barrage of criticism, scolding Ellison severely. Tracy says she asked him if they were living near that murder house. But Ellison's every word is reasonable. He says they are not living nearby. They are living inside this house, and he also states that the person died in the backyard, not inside the house. So what does it matter? After a fierce argument between the two, Ellison quickly falls asleep in his chair. After all, he does it for work to support their family of 4. Tracy calms down and feels heartbroken. She calls Ellison to sleep in bed with her. Not long after, a beam of light shines on the sleeping couple. This perspective is very similar to the previous tragedy. The bright light is dazzling, and Ellison suddenly wakes up. It seems as if someone intentionally wakes him up. Ellison throws off the covers, gets out of bed, and hears the projector sound again. But this time, the sound does not come from the studio but from the attic. The ladder is also lowered, and lights flicker inside. He does not know what is going on. With questions, Ellison does not hesitate and slowly climbs the ladder to the attic. As he pokes his head out, he comes face to face with the 5 children in front of him. He realizes they are watching tragedy videos upstairs. A sudden ghostly peak scares Ellison, making him fall off the ladder. He is instantly terrified and understands the house is haunted. After seeing the box and the projector thrown down, Ellison places them in the backyard fire pit and pours gasoline on them. A large fire burns them completely. He then finally gives up the idea of writing. He takes the other 3 still sleeping people and leaves the haunted house overnight. They drive all night until dawn. The family moves back into their original home. Tracy is very relieved by Ellison's decision and praises him as a good husband and father. However, as night falls, Ellison receives several pictures from Jonas. They are related to snakes, scorpions, and dogs. All 3 pictures have the strange symbol marked on them. Ellison does not understand what this means. Just then, Jonas calls him via video. Jonas says there is not much literature about the Bogut demon. Few people consult this kind of information. What he sees now are some murals. They all come from medieval Europe and are ancient and dilapidated. At that time, early believers believe Bogut exists in these patterns. And the patterns are the entrance to Bogut's world. Naturally, Bogut can also come to their world through the patterns. And the church at that time believes Bogut possesses those who have seen the images, driving them to do terrible things. Especially children, because they are weak-willed and most easily targeted and swayed by Bogut. After speaking, Jonas seems to have something urgent and hastily hangs up the phone. Immediately after, Ellison's phone rings. It is Deputy calling from before. During the day, Deputy already called him once. Perhaps he was busy then. But this time, after seeing it, Ellison decisively rejects the call. He thinks he has already gotten rid of this matter and no longer wants to deal with any tragedy. So, he carries this pile of documents, intending to put them in the attic to be permanently sealed away. As he just pokes his head out, Ellison is startled once again, because the black box he burned last night surprisingly appears here. He walks over and opens it, and it is the same as the first time, a projector and 5 videotapes. However, this time, there is an extra letter inside. Ellison picks it up, and a few lines of text are written on it, meaning the extended ending. He pours it out, and there are another 5 film reels inside. As Ellison installs these film reels onto the projector, Deputy calls him again, and this time, Ellison is truly scared and quickly answers. The deputy sounds very anxious and says he has been calling Ellison all day, asking why he does not answer. Ellison asks what happened. The deputy replies with some disappointment that Ellison has already moved. He says he compiled the information Ellison asked him to collect and found a very important clue. He explains there is a clear connection among them. Every recently victimized family lived in the house where the previous tragedy occurred. He adds that this is true for all 5 families. Deputy states his purpose for calling was to stop Ellison from moving out of the last house of trag because doing so only accelerates the killer's timeline for him. As the deputy finishes speaking, the projector in front of Ellison also begins playing the film reels. The first is the suspended case. The very house of tragedy Ellison just moved out of. A little girl is seen climbing down from a tree in the footage, and she brazenly pulls at the ankles of the deceased adults. The girl is Jenny, the mysteriously missing daughter of that family. Next is the second case. An arson. A little boy smiles as he runs from the footage towards the camera. The third case is in a swimming pool, and it turns out these supposedly missing children are among the culprits of these tragedies. After learning the truth, Ellison's mind goes blank, and he freezes in place for a few seconds. He then suddenly realizes something, but his mind is already starting to faint. He walks over and picks up the coffee he just drank, only to discover it was drugged. A note is also left on the table, which reads, "Good night, Father."
I like that you made the movies longer.
As thunder rolls outside, Ellison, his wife, and their son are already tied up and thrown in the living room. Their daughter Ashley quickly brings a camera and a machete.
Don't worry, Daddy. I'll make you famous again.
After speaking, she raises the camera and begins to record everything. Under Ellison's desperate and unwilling expression, his daughter raises the blade and kills him and the other 2. Then, facing the camera, she also makes a shushing gesture. Immediately after, the 5 children also appear together and look at Ashley, who is drawing on the rig, and according to the content of the drawing, she must have silenced Ellison and the other 2 in 3 sections. After finishing the drawing, Ashley puts down her pen and walks towards the screen to face the others. And at the end of the story, the black box containing the videotape is once again placed in the attic of Ellison's house. The movie ends here.